deportes, eSports, casino online, caballos y mucho más. Regístrate ahora, deposita y cobra desde casa. Betcris.
Start.
Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to SAGSE Talks Southern Africa. This is our 13th episode. I want to share to the audience that we are getting almost into 47,000 global views. We are very widespread in the globe. In this opportunity, we are going to be focusing in a very specific region of Africa, where we have been running and we have been learning about the east side of Africa, the western side of Africa, and now we're going directly to the southern part of Africa. This does not mean that we are going to talk about South Africa. You have to notice that the southern part of Africa is composed by a region where you have Angola, Botswana, Lesotho, you have Mozambique, Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and of course you have South Africa, and you have Mozambique, as I've said. What we are going to do this time, we're going to talk with the most important experts that are there. We're going to try to follow a specific trip. We're going to go guided by our speakers. We have Felix Musache. He's the Mozambique inspector from the gaming board. He's going to share with us his information from the legal and from a regulator side. We have Devon Dalbok. He's general manager for GLI Africa. He's going to give us a first good start to talk about how all these regulating things and certification, how it's run, because it's a regulated, so you need to follow those rules. Then we're going to talk with Mark Tipping, he's co-founder of Gaming for Africa, and Aluwani Mukuwanda. It's okay? We can call him Aluwani. So those two guys, they know a lot about the market. They have been working in that market for more than 20 years. They know a lot how to start up an operations. So they are going to share with us how to deal. And if you're interested in going into Southern Africa, those are the guys. So without more introduction, I'm going to pass the words to our good friend Devon, who's going to start talking a little bit about Africa, then go fast into Southern Africa and start talking about this. The idea of this program is to make this fast, easygoing for all the audience, so everyone can interrupt. If you have any questions, Mark, Aluwani, and Felix, just raise your hand and we are going to start talking. So welcome everyone. Thanks everyone. Thanks our good sponsors for having us here. Without their support, we were not able to do it. So thank you everyone. Thanks again for being here, and the word is all for you. Thanks, Devon.
Thank you very much, Alan, and thank you to everyone who's joined us as well this afternoon. Yeah, as you said, Africa is a large continent with many different countries, many different cultures, languages, etc. And this is the third in the series of SAGSE Talks on Africa. In the first one a few weeks ago, we spoke about West Africa, where the main gaming markets are really Nigeria and Ghana. Those are the two predominant gaming markets in that region. 2 weeks ago, we spoke about East Africa, and we had some people from the Tanzanian Gaming Board and some of the operators, etc. So that market really, the East Africa market, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Malawi, again, a very strong market with some very strong gaming operators in that market as well. And then, of course, today we're focusing on Southern Africa, which, as you rightly said, is a number of countries that make up this region. But from a gaming perspective, probably South Africa is certainly probably the biggest market within gaming, but also the most regulated market within the whole of Africa. And we can talk a little bit about that later on as well. But certainly, yes, South Africa is a very strongly regulated market, and many of the neighboring countries around us, and I'm sure my colleague from the Mozambique Gaming Board will have more to say about that as well. But certainly, they are also looking at introducing legislation, regulations, technical standards as well to protect their marketplace as well.
Devon, if you have to make a very strong difference, you have to compare all the regions that you have been talking, like East, West, with Southern Africa. Is there any specific thing that differentiates them? There's something that is different in Southern Africa or in South Africa, which is the largest one?
So other than the regulations, which I spoke about just now, so certainly if you look at the market, there's clearly this land-based market, which is fairly large in South Africa. But the market that's growing for everyone at the moment is the event wagering, sportsbook, sports betting market. And that market, if you look at South Africa or you look at Nigeria or Mozambique or Tanzania, that market is certainly the fastest growing market at the moment.
Okay, so the sports betting, it's a faster growing, but I heard or I read somewhere that the online casino is not allowed. Am I right or not?
Correct. In South Africa, online gaming is currently not allowed. Having said that, several of the gaming boards in South Africa consists of 9 provinces, and each province has its own gaming board as well, all reporting to the National Gaming Board. And several provinces over the last few months have been looking at and have been allowing some sort of fixed odd online games, but not the pure online slot games, but in terms of fixed odds, virtual sports, that kind of thing. So, but other than that, in South Africa, no, it's not legal. But again, in other markets around South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, etc., online gaming is allowed.
Okay, we have here Mark Tipping. He's an expert in that area. He would like to talk about some of the games. I think you're going to talk about virtuals. Am I right?
Me. Hi, everyone. Yeah, just I guess a bit to expand on Devon's valid points about South Africa is if you're an outsider looking at South African operators, you will certainly see online betting companies that look like casinos, look like online casinos. And it's worth just clarifying that everything that is legal in South Africa, that is online at the moment, it falls under sports betting licenses. So you see live table gaming provided by Evolution, that falls under a fixed odds event and therefore falls under sports betting licenses. Any sports betting license that you have in the country, you're allowed to then offer a online sports book across the whole nation. There are casinos land-based here, but they are not allowed to offer an pure online casino. However, if you read the news coming out of South Africa recently, then the big casino groups are now either by acquisition or application getting sports betting licenses so that they're not missing out on this hugely growing part of the industry, the online space. And they'll be launching sports books, but a lot of look and feel of them will be what's allowed under sports betting, but looks and feels like casino. So obviously all of this as well as the regulatory and licensing, every platform has to be fully approved under the South African Board of Standards, which Devon and GLI will know a huge amount about how these, from a technical point of view, are getting approved. And then there's a regulatory side of the game types that also have to be approved. So just to clarify that.
Okay, Devon, going back to you, and I would like to ask all questions about the certification first, so we then go directly into product and different regions. When we talk about the certification, for example, in Latin America, specifically in some markets, the servers has to be physically there on the jurisdiction, like you can touch them, or some jurisdiction ask for online servers or cloud serving. In terms of Southern Africa, and if you can name at least some of the regions and the countries, the servers, how it's a global, for example, the game, the platform, and everything has to be open source, has to be land-based, has to be physical. If we talk about the server, where it has to be there or not?
Alan, so again, for South Africa, depending on the provincial gaming board that you're talking to, most of them will want the server in South Africa, but some will allow a mirror server in South Africa. So a lot of these systems are hosted in foreign countries, as long as there is a mirror server locally, that should the gaming board need to inspect that server, that they have access to that physical mirror server in the jurisdiction. Again, outside of South Africa, those requirements are not as stringent. So if we look at other countries around Southern Africa,
we have Felix here. He's of course an inspector from Mozambique. I want to take advantage of the situation of have someone who is on the part of regulating. If you can talk about and explain to the audience a little bit more about how the regulation is run in Mozambique, what is allowed, what is not allowed, and how do you run in terms of land-based gaming and online gaming? If you run both of controls, or you only control one of those?
Yes, in Mozambique, our legislation allows us to operate both land-based and online gaming. We do have both of them in our regulations, but the sports betting, they are a pioneer in introducing online gaming in Mozambique, because we have 14 operators for sports betting, and 9 of them, they operate both land-based sports betting and online sports betting. So they are pioneers in that area. Unfortunately, no casino is operating online. All of the casinos in Mozambique are operating land-based. But our legislation do allow online casinos. I say that online casinos are allowed in our legislation. What happens is that we still need to make the regulations how they will operate in Mozambique. Presently, we don't have any operator who has expressed his intention who has applied or requested the government to operate an online casino. Nobody's there. So the first one who will come to Mozambique will be the first operator to operate online casino in Mozambique, because our legislation, our law, our gambling act allows online casino. So now we are waiting for the first applicant to come and apply for online casino.
That's very important, Felix, what you are just saying, and I think that the global audience has to pay attention to that, because that's a huge opportunity. And I would like to ask you again, when you say that you are hoping to have the first online casino, does it mean that has to? I mean, in terms of the legal terms, of course, yes. Not in the digital, but it can be an offshore company operating in Mozambique. Yes. It has to be a Mozambique corporation. It can be mixed. It has to have a retail operation. Or how, if you have to describe in a phrase the job description for that license, okay. How would you describe the operation?
Yes, it can be a foreign company, but they must come to Mozambique and incorporate a local company. The foreign one, let me call it a parent company. The parent company, which is a foreign, must come to Mozambique and be associated with a local person. It can be physical person or local company to incorporate a new company in Mozambique. And let me say that according to our legislation, 26% of the capital must be held by Mozambicans. So if a foreign company comes to Mozambique to apply for an online casino or land-based casino, it must take into consideration that he must partner with a local shareholder with a minimum of 26%. So he must incorporate a local company. Let me answer another question that you have made to Devon. In Mozambique, if you are going to operate online gambling, the server is not an obligation to be hosted or to be housed in Mozambique. You can host your server outside the country, but you must have a backup in the country. We must have a backup in the country to allow the gaming board an access to that platform anytime and any day. So you must have a backup in Mozambique. You can house your platform outside the country. There's no problem.
Okay, so we truly understand. So it's not only cloud, because, for example, we are in Argentina, we have different type of regulations around the country, but the important thing about the regulation in Buenos Aires City is that it has to be 100% cloud. So we don't have, for example, the one in the state asks for a mirror. So it's more like the case that you are asking. So you can have the server anywhere, but you're asking for a physical server with local access, of course, with the master key. And yes. This is that you have just said 25% has to be local and 75% has to be. Do you know how much we are talking about in terms of investment, if you can say it? Or are you asking for certain, and one question, are you asking for certain experience beforehand? You have to have an operation outside. I mean, in general terms, of course, we're not getting into deep into.
Yes, if someone is interested in operating gambling in Mozambique, he will be requested to produce enough proof for technical experience. Let's take, for instance, if the parent company has a license in any other country of the world, so that license will be a proof enough, that proof that he's operating gambling in any country of the world, that document will suffice to produce a proof that they have a technical experience. We will also request the CVs of the director. So if you bring a director from, let us say, taking an example from Bulgaria, we will need his CV just to make sure that this director, this man or this lady or gentleman has enough experience on gambling in their country of origin. he will also be requested to produce enough proof that he has financial capacity. Maybe we will request him some bank statements, or he will open a bank account in Mozambique with enough funds to operate that gaming and to pay the winnings and pay the guarantees and pay everything, insurance. So he must produce a proof that he has financial capacity, technical capacity, and what we call a clean criminal record of the shareholders of that company. We will request him to produce enough proof for those three items.
And one last question to Felix, and then we are going to pass directly marching to Mark and Aluwani, and one question more to Devon. When you say that this company, that this parent company can come from abroad, the license can be in Malta, can be in Curacao, can be the license that this father company or parent company has.
Yeah.
Where can it be?
Yeah, the license of that parent company can come from any part of the world. It doesn't matter from where. All we need is that it's a proof that that parent company has experience on gambling. It doesn't matter from where. We will issue our own license in Mozambique. For sports betting, our licenses are issued for a period of five years for sports betting. But for casinos, the licenses are issued with a duration of from 10 to 30 years. So if you, for the casinos, you negotiate with the gaming board, you negotiate with the government, the duration of the license, which can vary from 10 to 30 years for casinos. But for sports betting, it will be a maximum of 5 years, but renewable. It is renewable.
Well, just to be honest, I've been listening to these conversations of SAGSE Talks around the world, and I could say that this is very interesting. But in order to know the interesting about the market, I would like to go directly some questions to Mark and to Aluwani. I will say a question to both of them, and then you can raise your hand and start talking whoever you want to. I would like to know, because all this that Felix has been saying, it's very, very interesting in terms that you have someone from the side of the regulator, which is giving you a lot of facilities to get into the market. You only need a company, like a parent company with a local company of 25% to get in. You have a license, you can get in, but everything seems to be very nice. But when we're talking about business, I would like to ask Mark and I would like to ask Aluwani, talking about the market, because we're talking about, I would like first to talk, if you are allowed to talk about Mozambique market in terms of quantity of people, if you know how many people are there. And then if you can put in all between Aluwani and Mark, how many people are in Southern Africa, how many people are in Mozambique, how many people are in South Africa, and how many people are connected into those areas, have internet connection. So now we are going to talk about the market. So we go directly to you, that you are the expert of consulting and raising out operating. I don't know who would like to start, if Mark or Aluwani.
Go ahead, Aluwani. I've already spoken.
Okay, Aluwani, you're mute, Aluwani.
Mark can go ahead. No problem.
Yeah, good.
Okay. So, I mean, I think when we talk about Southern Africa, South Africa certainly dominates any conversation. The size of the market, I think, in honesty, dwarfs the other countries with regards to gaming revenue generally, and certainly even sports betting, which has perhaps more popularity proportionately in let's say, Zambia and Mozambique. And what we find, what our Gaming for Africa and companies I'm helping, is what they seem to be more and more interested in now is actually online gaming, and specifically mobile. And so when we look at countries and assist companies entering markets, we're mainly at the moment looking at what the possibilities are in the online space. I'm not saying there's not still good businesses in retail, but they're relatively established, and a lot of companies are looking at more let's say, quicker entries in online. And obviously, not necessarily obviously, but in most Southern African countries, what then is key is access to the financial means of the public. So although we might look at Mozambique and having a population of 35 million and South Africa 50, 60 million, Zambia is 20 million or something, what we tend to find is looking at the market size of online, particularly, is looking at the access to digital money. And specifically in Mozambique and Zambia, where it's very much focused on mobile money through the main networks such as Vodacom and MTN, Airtel. So when we look at and analysing countries, we very much do it on the penetration of digital money as well as smartphones. Not to say that you can still build a good customer base actually on let's call it older phones, using old technology such as USSD that works across every phone. So from a market sizing point of view, we don't purely look at population, although the retail space, I'm sure, is more relevant to that. We look at penetration of mobile and digital money.
Mark, if you're talking about mobile penetration, we're talking about more or less in the southern area of more or less 1 billion people. If we have been talking about we have been talking about Eastern and Western Africa, and we will talk about those areas. The demographic situation was that 60% were above 25. Does this repeat in Southern Africa, the mobile penetration? It's 60% of the population over 25?
Yes. If we were talking ballpark numbers, I would say it's getting even higher than that. Wow. And smartphone penetration is increasing double, more than 10% every year. Especially in Southern Africa, internet pricing is more as they sit further away from the European and the hubs for internet. So what we've also seen is a huge reduction in the pricing of data, especially in landlocked countries such as Zambia and Zimbabwe. They're buying their data through South Africa. So the cost, especially in retail, when we were doing helping a couple of companies in retail, the cost they were paying per month for like a 2 meg line to support their shop was crazy compared to anything you would see in Europe. So data costs coming down and smartphones coming in now from China and India are very affordable for the mass market. So mobile phone penetration, I think, would be higher than that now, and smartphone penetration would be almost matching mobile phone penetration, certainly less, but it's whether they actually pay for the data that's the key part, and whether they can afford that daily or weekly data package in order to access the sports betting products.
That's very interesting. So we have the country, we have the region, we have been talking about mobile penetration, we have been talking about the population. People are keen on playing with digital money. I would like to ask Alowani, which type of games, or what do you think about new games that goes best with that southern area, and what do you think about virtual games?
Yeah, so as Devon has been saying earlier on, that we've seen a significant amount of operators using virtual games in SA. So that has started, a new trend in terms of the betting in South Africa. So people are just now trying to learn or understand, virtual games. Because this thing has been trending maybe, let's say, in Nigeria, and now it has flown down to the southern region. And like in Namibia, there's these new games called Lucky Six. It's numbers games. They've started trending there as well. So, the trend is starting to spread in the southern region as well. And then in Mozambique as well, we've seen that it's a numbers market as well. So people are, adapting the different kinds of virtual games, starting from numbers, and then from there, they're going into football. Because football is the key, the key product in Africa in terms of betting. Without football, I don't think, there'd be much betting in Africa.
When you mean football, you mean soccer? Or
Yes. Virtual
football, real football,
football.
the ball.
Yes.
Yeah, a round ball, the real football.
Yeah. So what I realized as well, like in Mozambique, it's a relatively new market as well. So I think there's still going to be a lot of development, as Felix said before. There's going to be a lot of development, and there's a lot of demand for easy ways in terms of let's say distributing maybe the virtual game. So people have started using satellite, free-to-air satellite. And then the other thing, people have started implementing, like operators started partnering with Opera Money because of, the low data usage. So, there's a lot of creativity in terms of offering, the various products to these partners. And then the other thing I also realized in SA right now at the moment, there's I can't mention the company name, but they're offering data free. There's a link that they send you, use that link, and then you can bet, data free without data. You see, so development is there. There's still going to be a lot more coming through.
Yeah, so you have these companies saying like tipping that give you tips about the football match and those type of things.
Come again? I didn't get you there.
That there are companies which are giving the odds that helping you to do the bets. Like
no suppliers. I mean, betting suppliers, like sportsbook suppliers, virtual suppliers. You know what I mean? They've partnered with, all these Opera Money, and various, browser companies in order for them to implement their product, at a rate that does not, consume data. Because, data usage, as Mark said, it's very expensive in Africa. So people are, the operators and suppliers, they're trying to come up with ways in order for them to, to make it easier, for access, to the sites. Because the more volume you have, it's more volume. The more volume you have, the more you can generate in terms of revenue.
Of course. So I would like to cross this with a little bit of reality. Talking about the pandemic situation, Mark and Aluwani, I would like to focus this question to Mark. Do you think that this pandemic situation about the COVID has accelerated the change into mobile gaming and the acceleration into online gaming, or it has been a trend? If you have to see it backwards, if you have a scale and you see the evolution of online gaming, do you think that this pandemic situation accelerate the curve of online penetration and growth of gaming in South Africa and Southern Africa, or it was just coincidence or part of evolution?
No, I think it will hugely accelerate it. To what extent, I think time will tell. With the operators that I'm working with, there was almost an exaggerated scramble for online content. Companies that had an online business but maybe were focused on retail were all of a sudden trying to add another virtual product or two more virtual products to try and make sure that as eyes of customers went online, they would gravitate to their product. So over the last couple of months, what I certainly have seen is on a product side is companies adding more casino content in Africa, more live casino content, and often betting companies who maybe beforehand had one preferred virtual would now have two or three virtuals. Going back to Aluwani's point, talking about data, there are now virtual products that work without pictures, that are, let's say, text-based. That a couple of companies have made huge success with, and also a focus as well on non-smartphone product lines, so SMS betting, USSD, as well as Opera Mini sort of light products. I think that the jump in online over time will slow, because I think there is still, from having traveled for a bit, from when I've traveled around Africa, there's a big community feeling around betting in a lot of the countries I go to that would be perhaps similar in Europe and certainly the UK and stuff to more pub culture. So people go to sports betting venues for socializing, and that won't I don't think that will fall away. So I still think there's a very good business in retail, in sports betting, and also they congregate because it's somewhere where they can get access to all of the games and be able to watch everything. But outside of that, possibly where somebody wants to get their bet on for the day and has to walk 100 meters and they're not going for the social side of it, they would probably now naturally navigate towards online. So I think we might see a bit of a drop off in online as all the retail reopens, as people get back out, seeing their friends and socializing, but it'll certainly be higher and maintain a big percentage of that increase, I'm sure. And not least because of the focus of operators on the online product side and making sure everything you ever got on retail, you can now get in the palm of your hand. So.
Okay, I'm receiving some questions directly to Felix. I think that Felix, you are the most required here because you said that Mozambique it's open. You already said this about the server, because they are asking if there has to be, we already answered that question, if there has to be a real server. No, if you can repeat the part about the server, and then where the server has to be, and which are if someone wants to open an online casino in Mozambique, are the same requirements as a land-based casino? And how do they do that? How do they reach you? Is there any website if they want to open a casino in Mozambique?
Let me first ask how can you place your application for a casino, land-based or online casino in Mozambique? There is some links. You can just go to www.ijg.co.mz, which is Inspeção Geral de Jogos. It's a General Inspectorate of Games in Mozambique. So you can find all information about how to apply for a casino license in Mozambique. Let me say that, but the better way to do that is if you can have a contact in Mozambique and hire a lawyer to organize the file. I mean the docket for you, can organize the process of application. First, if you can hire a lawyer to incorporate a local company first and to organize the application to submit to the government, is the better way. Because I don't think you can succeed to do it online, sitting abroad. You need someone here in Mozambique to do the job, the paperwork in Mozambique. I can help anybody to get those contacts in Mozambique and get someone who can help you to submit that application. Second thing about the server, when I say the server is not, we cannot request investors to house their servers in Mozambique, their platform in Mozambique. We have been asking some companies to bring their platform, their servers in Mozambique, but I think it is very difficult for them to accept that. Most of the operators, most of the investors, they have their servers abroad in Malta, in Bulgaria, in Europe or America. But at least if they bring a copy, we must have a backup in Mozambique. We must have a copy of what is happening on the gaming here in Mozambique. We must have access. If something wrong happens in the gaming, we must have the opportunity to go into your software and see what happened in that occasion. That's why I'm saying that we must have a backup of your server in Mozambique.
Okay, going back to Devon, and I know you have a meeting, so I want to ask you one last question. Is there any GLI standard that we are talking about here for Southern Africa? And in terms of games, as far as I understood from Felix, only with the transfer and certification of one type of game, all games are going to be certified the same way? Or in terms of the games, how do you certify them, and which GLI standard would you need, for example?
So Alan, for South Africa, as we spoke about earlier on, there is no online gaming allowed other than the fixed odds bets we were speaking earlier on. So there is no technical standard for online gaming in South Africa at this point in time. There is a standard for event wagering, the SANS 1718 Part 4 standard. All these South African standards are based on the South African national standards. So there is a standard for sports betting, which GLI certifies operators for the South African market. Many of the neighboring countries around us, such as Zimbabwe, Zambia, I'm not sure about Mozambique, Felix can answer on that one, but many of the neighboring countries will accept South African certification. So I see Felix shaking his head as positively as well. So if a product has been certified for the South African market, certainly most of the markets in the Southern African region will accept that certification with no further certification. Some, I believe, will also accept GLI certification. So if a product has GLI 19 certification, for instance, non-jurisdictional GLI 19 certification, some of the neighboring countries will accept that as well. And maybe Felix could answer that. But certainly they will accept the South African standards, yes.
That's very interesting. Devon, thank you very much. If you need to leave, we're not going to go any further into certification. Now, I would like to go directly to product and to platform. I would like to talk with Aluwani. If you have to choose a specific platform for the African market, would you suggest to use an in-house platform or a third-party platform, Aluwani?
From my own point of experience, I would say in-house is much more flexible, and you would just, incorporate odds from a third party where they do the trading for you. And then in terms of making changes, it'll become easier for you to do that with your own in-house platform in terms of, placing running campaigns, changing the layout, and then various other changes, that you come along as you progress in the business. So we've realized in the past that a white label, just a white label, plain white label that you are given, comes with issues in terms of maybe you require changes. They always, take longer. They always take longer because, the provider or the supplier will always focus, on their top tier clients and then leave out, the people, who are not generating, the revenue. So it has its advantages and disadvantages, I would say. There's advantages for both, in-house or third-party platform. Both of them, work depending on the territory, and then that's how it is.
Okay. One more question to Devon. People does not want you to go, Devon, sorry. So there is one more question to you. Which countries do accept GLI 19? And if bingo multiplayer, it is allowed in Southern Africa? Bingo multiplayer. The bingo, different balls.
Yes. So in terms of GLI 19, maybe Felix can answer that if Mozambique will accept that. I know that Zimbabwe will accept GLI 19. I think Zambia do as well. Botswana are in the process of drafting their own technical standards at the moment, which should have been published a month or two ago, but it's been held up with COVID. Namibia, I'm not sure of at this point in time. Maybe Mark can answer that as well. But as I say, most of the surrounding countries here will accept SANS, the South African standards. Felix, would Mozambique accept GLI 19 certification?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Perfect.
Going back to Mark, to the same question that I gave to Aluwani, do you think that it's better to have an in-house platform or a third party, Mark? What do you think?
I think if you're big enough and you have big enough plans and budget, then in-house certainly has the advantage that Aluwani suggests. In South Africa specifically, the testing standard can be quite an expensive process, and with a kind of a changing environment for what products are allowed, for you to keep up, if you have your own platform with the new products that are getting approved, I think can be quite an expensive exercise to maintain your platform. And obviously, yeah, sure, you get something that everyone else has a version of if you go for one of the established platforms in South Africa. But obviously then the cost is on the platform provider to keep up with, call it trends or new regulatory approvals for product. I mean, maybe before Devon goes, he could give an idea of how often, whether platforms generally will go through quarterly or once a year or twice a year testing because of the rate of change of product that's being allowed in South Africa. Just to give a feeling for how dynamic you have to be as a platform to keep up in the market.
Okay, that's cool. We talk about digital money. I received a question about if there is any system to let the bet using airline miles as currency. Does that exist? Like using the airline miles to do betting? I think not, but you are.
No,
and then there are two questions because I know the answer of the first one, but that gives me a clue for the other question. I would like to ask this to Felix, to Mark, and to Aluani, because of course airline miles would not be possible, but answer to that one. But I would like to know what's the situation about cryptocurrency, as we are talking about digital money. What's the relationship with cryptocurrency in Southern Africa and of course in Mozambique? That's for the three of you.
Yeah, so what I've seen, guys, let me just jump in. So what I've seen is cryptocurrency is something that, you know what I mean, is quite popular in South Africa. South African, you know what I mean, people in general, South African people in general, you know what I mean, they go with what's trending in America. So it trended in America, it's working there, it's progressing. So in South Africa, it's also started. So a lot of, you know what I mean, progress is going to happen, I think, in the next couple of years. But for now, I haven't seen anything in betting in terms of crypto.
No, I think with regards betting in South Africa, where there's exchange controls and every operator is a local operator, there's no real sort of benefit in using crypto at the moment. I think certainly across Africa, as Aluani says, that there is increasing usage for transfers to and from family, but on the betting side, it's still very, very new. And there's certainly no companies, legal companies in South Africa, betting companies accepting it at the moment.
Felix, cryptocurrencies?
Yes, the same to Mozambique, what Aluani has said. I have never seen anything. So cryptocurrency is not popular in Mozambique. For gaming, we are using what is popular for gaming in Mozambique is mobile money. We have 3 mobile companies, which is M-Pesa, which is most popular. We have M-Cash and E14, three mobile money systems that are using in Mozambique. No cryptocurrency.
If you have to explain the audience from any part of the world that not understand what does mobile money means, if you have to explain it, what does it mean, mobile money?
Mobile money is something
that only exists in Africa. I mean, in terms of gaming.
Yeah, mobile money is something popular in Africa. It's most popular in Kenya, but also in Mozambique, it's growing very well. What is mobile money? It's a kind of mobile banking. You deposit your money in a system which is let me take an example of M-Pesa. We have 3: M-Pesa, M-Cash, and E14. Let me take the example of M-Pesa. You deposit your money, you create a mobile wallet where you deposit your money, and you can transfer through your cell phone. You can transfer, you can make deposits, you can make payments, you can buy everything, you can pay salaries with that mobile money. It's a kind of mobile. You use your telephone to transfer and make payments. So most of the gaming operators, they integrate their platforms, they integrate with mobile money so that people can place their bets using that mobile money, and they can receive their winnings to that mobile wallets. That's the only explanation that I can put.
Mark, you want to take it from there?
I think just to add something, as I'm certainly, when I arrived in Africa, was an outsider to it. it's essentially an e-wallet tied to your mobile phone number. So your mobile phone number is your account number, and you can send money to other mobile phones, but also as businesses, you can then get essentially a business merchant number that then customers can send money from that to your business. It's instant, and it's being used more and more across most African countries, and probably, I mean, most betting operators don't really integrate Visa and MasterCard. The mass market is mobile money. There are various aggregators that, let's say, do those integrations for you, or you can integrate yourself with each mobile company. So you can go to a Vodafone or something with your betting license, and they will then give you APIs and create you a merchant account, and you can do those integrations directly as well.
So this makes more easy. So there is no banking inside, so they go through the telco, through the telecommunication companies directly.
Effectively, the telcos are the banks when it comes to this. Not in South Africa. South Africa is more of a European model where it's internet banking and debit and credit card. The MTN here, that's the largest local network, has recently launched a mobile money service, and time will tell how popular that becomes. But essentially, most other African countries are moving towards mobile money as the day-to-day transactional account for individuals.
And for example, here in Argentina, we are keen on the paper. We like touching the bills, like the notes. We hug them. So in Africa, you never cash out the money. There's always from mobile to mobile, mostly of the time. Or you use notes.
You certainly will cash out. You'll need cash for a lot of smaller retailers and that, certainly, but it is heavily reducing, and certainly even some bigger companies and small ones do pay salaries through mobile money, and vary slightly country to country, but Kenya being the ultimate example where even a small corner shop just selling, loads of bread and stuff will accept mobile money as payment type. So
that's great. We're going to start rounding up this, which I think it has been great. I would like to have a question for Alwani and also for you, Mark, in terms of operation. If you want to reach a mass market online, which strategy would you use for getting into mass market online? For Mark and Alwani, what do you think?
I think it varies by country.
From my side,
Alwani.
Go Alwani. No, Alwani. Go Alwani.
Go ahead. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So from my side is that the name needs to be easy to pronounce name, a name that needs to be remembered in terms of the domain. Like for example, Hollywood Bets. Easy to remember. It's trending all the time. There's even duplicates of it that I've seen recently. Some other country here in Africa, in Swaziland, there's a duplicate of Hollywood Bets because that's how popular they are. So when you search Hollywood, you'll find that other one, which is not the original as well. And then I also did a study, I think it was a few weeks ago. They are like the number one betting company, in the southern region. In the whole southern region, they are number one basically online. You see, so the name, the branding, those simple things, you need to certify those simple things, and then from there on, it's all about, customer care, quick payout, quick depositing, those simple things. Those are the things that build, the brand. Because I've seen, like, I go into these groups online on Facebook. These punters, they communicate, they talk about the different, brands or the different operators. They'll be talking. Yeah, they said in the T's and C's it says 24 hours, but it's like now 74 hours. They're complaining, about X company not paying on time, X company, reducing the payout amount, those sort of things. So it all comes together. It's all about customer service, number one, and then everything else, I believe, falls into place once the customer's happy.
Cool.
On to you, Mark.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. Brand is key, and part of brand is not just products and that. In the countries we work in, being fast and prompt payers is key. And sometimes that comes down to the strength of your integration and the technical side of your payment system. Quite often the actual MTN or Vodacom will go down for half a day. So it's fairly expected to be delays, but you want it to be not your company's fault. The thing I'd also say is very important to have a local strategy as well. There's a lot of very, very cheap above the line marketing that can be done in most countries. So to have some local experience to build a strong local presence, because then they believe you're a local company if you're going online only. And also, but that will vary country to country. We have, for example, huge success in one country in Zambia. We did very well helping a company with radio advertising, but as an example, in Kenya, it was a lot more expensive per acquisition. So obviously local expertise on that above the line marketing is quite key.
Okay, if we're going to start rounding up this, I would like to have 2 words with Devon. If you want to say something like to close up this region, what would you say? And then we start going from Devon to Felix, Mark, and Alwani. So if you have to sum up the region, if you want to send a message about this, it's your time.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, I think I just want to pick up from something that Mark was talking about earlier on in terms of the standards and how onerous that is in terms of the South African standards and certification, etc. And he raised a very valid point as well. So the South African standards are somewhat onerous. However, there is not a requirement to do a re-audit every year of your platform, as there are in some jurisdictions. The only time that an operator or a supplier would need to resubmit their product to the test lab for recertification is if they changed any of the critical components of that system. But if you're changing the look and feel or some of the peripherals of the system and you're not actually affecting the critical components of the system, there's no need to recertify that every few months or every year, whatever the case may be. But yeah, just to sum up then, I think the Southern African market is certainly a market that's growing. I think there's still opportunity. They're certainly not as saturated. We've seen, as we were speaking about earlier on, we as the test lab have seen a tremendous growth in the number of submissions from online operators, from sportsbook operators, from virtual sports operator, not just for South Africa, but for the whole of Africa as a continent in general through this COVID time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Felix, if you want to say like a close up about Mozambique, and if you have to send one message to everyone, what would you say?
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to invite operators all over the world, around the world, the operators and the investors who are interested in exploring African markets and gaming African markets. Mozambique is a good destination for that because our market is still small, but growing and promising market in Africa. So I would like to invite investors to come and explore Mozambique. Our advantages in Mozambique is our taxes, something that we have not talked about, the taxes and the fees that are payable on gaming. Unfortunately, we had no time to talk about that, but if you give me some 2, 3, 5 minutes, I can explain about that. Our advantages, our competitive factors is taxes and our proximity to South Africa. As you know, South Africa is the biggest market in Africa and is a giant in gambling. So our proximity, only 1 hour driving from where I'm sitting now, 1 hour driving, you are in South Africa. That is another advantage that we have. And we have another advantage is that our population is fond of gaming, is fond of betting. So, and our legislation is easy. It gives you facilities in terms of expatriation of capitals, expatriation of the dividends of your profits. So if you invest your capital into Mozambique, you can also expatriate them to your country of origin. We have a lot of benefits. We have a lot of incentives for those who want to invest in Mozambique. I take this opportunity to invite all of them to come and invest in Mozambique. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. And you also say that, Felix, you had a report about Mozambique. You did a report, like a research about Mozambique market. Was it you?
Yes, I have something that I can share with those who would like to do that. If you can share my email address or my WhatsApp telephone number, I can share with them.
Yes, they can reach us through the organization, or anyway, they can look for you on the website. Your name is in the screen, in the cast. So thank you very much, Felix, again for being here. Aluwani, you want to do a roundup about?
Yeah, I wanted to just add that Felix was very helpful in the past in terms of giving me a list of contacts in the Mozambican market. So I was able to sell quite a few products to, to that market as well. Thanks to Felix.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you want to Aluwani, if you had to say like a roundup and you have to close up this conversation, what would you say about Southern market? How would you round it up?
What I would like to say about this, conversation, or this webinar, is that there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen in the market. There's a lot of positive changes. Online is going to be, one of the biggest, the biggest markets in terms of the revenue that's going to be coming through for a lot of these operators, because they, they realize that, hey, you don't need the physical shop anymore. It's there, but you don't really need it. You can have one, and then you just continue online, make that money. That's it.
Yeah, huge market, huge opportunity. Mark, if you need, you be the last, but not the least. Again, the last one. Mark, if you have to round up this and you have to do like something nice to closure.
Well, thanks, Alan, for organising, firstly, and others for joining. It's been useful. I think really Southern Africa is like we're seeing in the rest of Africa, with a lot of growth and a lot of opportunities, and the companies that are here already are doing very well, and will do better as the market grows. So there's certainly space for more companies to come in. So welcome. Yeah.
And one more thing, Mark, because Felix is not the only one who has Felix lovers. You have also Mark lovers, followers. Someone just asked you, so you have followers directly to you. If you can mention in the Southern market, you already said it, but they want it from your voice. Which are the 3 largest markets in Southern Africa based on the GGR? Mark?
I would be somewhat guessing, because the numbers aren't necessarily readily available, but South Africa is by far the biggest. And then I would say out of Southern Africa, Mozambique and Zambia are out of well-regulated countries.
So Mozambique and South Africa. So first, South Africa.
Mozambique, I would suspect, and Zambia follows. There are countries like the DRC and stuff where information's very, very difficult to get
very
hold
difficult.
They will be large markets, but yeah.
Yeah, that happens in our regions. So, well, thank you everyone for being here. Felix, you as an inspector regulator from the Mozambique Gaming Board. Devon for being here from GLI, from the certification and lab area. Mark and Aluwani from the consultancy. These are all well-known people who knows a lot about the region. We don't have here the people from Chicana Law Group. They were supposed to be here, but they are not. But if you want to go, anyone who wants to go to South Africa, to Africa, especially Southern Africa, contact us. We are going to give their contact information. Don't forget to subscribe. We have a subscription, the ones who are looking at us from YouTube. This has been streaming from YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Instagram Live, and everything. So if we need to round up this final, last but not least, event in Southern Africa, and if we need to round up the African region, but mainly in Southern Africa, we could say that it's one of the most relevant ones, taking South Africa as the most important one, where sport betting is allowed, where more than 60% of 1 million people are connected, where they use digital money So that's great. They are very fun and they are very keen on sports. They are very keen on betting. They love it. There are a lot of operators who are running operations there. There are experts who can help you. You can come to Mozambique. You can go to Mozambique and start an operation. If you have 25% of local people, it's always important to have. So that's important. There are just few things to operate, nothing complicated. So if I have to round up this, I would run out like saying that this has been one of the most interesting ones. Africa is a market to explore. Africa is a market to invest. I want to thank all our sponsors who make this possible, the trip to Africa. Next time we're going to share this, of course, live with some networking event afterwards. But from now on, this is as good as it gets. So once again, Felix, Devon, Mark, and Alwani, thank you so much for everything. This has been great. Thank you. I hug you all. And this is it. This has been our 13th edition. It's not going to be the last one. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. And keep on watching SAGSE Talks. Thank you. And this is all for one. Don't hang out. We're going to keep on here in the lobby. But from now on, for the technical area, we are over. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.